Hello, this is actually take 2 of this book, The Snail and the Whale. Partly because it was a glare, and there may still be some glare, so I got up and turned down the light, and also I mispronounced one of the words, so I thought I should start over. The Snail and the Whale. It's another book by Julia Donaldson, which Rachel said she really likes this author, and this is only the second book that I've read by her. The Giant Jumperee was the first one. This illustrator, or the second author, is Alex Schaffler. He's different than the one that did the Jumperee. The Snail and the Whale. Sounds like it could be a John McCutcheon song. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big gray-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships on the dock, and as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. But the tiny snail, I don't think she could sail, do you? She might drown. So this is a pretty picture. So how many, let's see, how many seagulls can you see? I don't really think they're seagulls, but we'll pretend they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grandma sees 5. Oh, 6, 7. Grandma didn't see those 2 down there. Oh, and there's a baby one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. These are the other snails in the flock who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wiggle, sit still, stay put." There's lots of snails. Can you count how many snails are on the rock? This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled and said, "Ride wanted around the world." The snail, he has an itchy foot because he wants to go around the world. And it looks like he's written something on the rock. He did. Ride wanted around the world. That's what he wrote with his silvery trail. That's very interesting. And then what is this? Oh, can't see it. Can you see it now? What is that? This is a pretty big book. It's a little hard to know how to hold it. We know what this is. This is the whale that came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright, a humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves, of shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out. And this is the tail, the tail of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlight sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." And there he is. Well, he says, "Come sail with me." That's pretty funny. You think the snail's going to get on the tail? I think he does. Look. Can you see the snail on the tail of the whale? And where are they? They look like they're where there's icebergs, aren't there? This is the sea so wide and free that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs in far-off lands. And what kind of birds are these? I know Silas knows what they are, and who can count them? There are a lot of them. All right, so they're in the world of icebergs. Oh, and what are these? Sorry, I'm moving around a lot. I hope you don't get carsick. Next time I have to check out a smaller book. And they traveled with their fiery mountains and golden sands. So what are the golden sands? Those are the beaches. Oh, I see a turtle. And what's the fiery mountains? Who knows what they are? I bet you all 5 do. And what is up in the tree? A monkey. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. Grandma loves waves. And what's this? These words are hard to see. I think I have to fold the book up and then I'll show you the picture. These are the caves beneath the waves where the colorful fish with feathery fins. I thought it said furs. I was like, they don't have furs. Feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam past the whale and the snail on his tail. So here they have these flashy fins and goofy smiles, goofy toothy smiles. And this is the sky, so vast and high. Sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. So here's the sun, and then here's the rain, and then what's that? The lightning, which might frighten the snail, but he's holding on tight to the tail of the whale, isn't he? She gazed at the sky, the sea and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and she gazed, amazed by it all. And she said to the whale, I feel so small. What's in this picture? Beautiful picture. A lake or something? Well, not the lake. It must be part of the ocean, I guess. Must be northeast or something. Mountains and eagles and a bear. And there's the humpback whale. And can you see the snail on the tail? He's pretty little. You know what? Even if you're small, you can be important because God made us all and made the snails too. But then came the day the whale lost his way. There were speedboats running a race, zigzagging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar and making him swim too close to the shore. So here's all these people really being a lot of boats in the ocean or and look, the whale, that's called being beached. When the whale comes up on the sand, it says he's beached. Uh-oh. And this is the tide slipping away. So the whale's up here and the tide's going down, and I hope the whale doesn't get stuck on the beach. He did. Look, he's stuck. Oh, he's beached. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Quick, off the sand, back to the seas, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. What is she doing? You see her? She's crawling. She got off the tail. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. That must be the teacher. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board as black as soot. Soot. That's a hard word for me to say when I see it spelled like that. And this is the snail with his itchy foot. A snail, the teacher turns pale, looks at the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, save the whale. Oh, that's so exciting. Do you think they realize that they need to save the whale? Yeah, these are the children running from school, fetching the firemen, digging a pool. Look, they're digging a pool for the whale. They're keeping him wet. This is a very good book. Squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool, wet and cool is the same thing. Look, the children are shoveling. This is the tide coming into the bay. And these are villagers shouting hooray as the whale and the snail travel safely away. That is really fun. So the children and the firemen saved the humpback whale that got beached on the sand in low tide. Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said how time's flown, and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves, shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of a humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out its tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. I thought he was going to let the snails go. I thought the snail was going to get back on his rock, but look what's happening. That's so funny. The other snails are going to go for an adventure. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the gray blue humpback whale. That is so fun. And there's two little fish. This was first published in 2004. That is a very cute book. The Snail and the Whale. You're never too small or too young or too big or too old to make a difference in the world. Jesus loves you all. So does Grandma. This was a very fun book. I hope everyone can take it out of the library so you can see it, because I'm sure I was moving it too much because it was sort of big to see. So anyway, I love you guys. We'll see you soon, I hope.